Excellent. And we'll just wait another minute or two to let people filter in. And this session is going to be recorded so that we can share it on our website and so that we can share it with our team members to help them also get acquainted with some of the, the new resources on the website. We are going to go ahead here in just 1 minute and get started. Okay. My name is Joey Pena. I'm a cannabis process navigator for the Denver Department of Excise and Licenses. Joining me today, we have Abby Borchers, who's a policy analyst for the department. We've been working these last few months to update our website, to make our website more accessible, more user-friendly, to help build out resources, because it is a place where folks go to find all of their information related to the city's equity program, permits and licenses. And so today we really just wanted to give you a quick tour of that. We're going to spend about a half hour looking through the website, and then any questions that you have, you can pop into the Q&A, and we'll be circling back on answers to those later. I think we'll use about the full half hour to really introduce you to the new website, show you where to find certain resources, and talk about some of the new features that we've introduced with it. So I am going to start sharing my screen. Here we are. I'm going to move us out of the way here. And what you will see here in my search bar is denvergov.org/marijuana info. I would encourage all of you to bookmark that website. This is the landing page for the city's coordinated management of our marijuana program, denvergov.org/marijuana info. And that is going to be the jumping off point for all of our resources related to marijuana. So on our marijuana information page, you'll see that we have links to information for medical and retail marijuana licenses and permits, to the city's social equity web page, to our laws, rules, and regulations, to information on our annual report and data and statistics, information for residents, visitors, and business owners, and for the annual Denver Marijuana Management Symposium, which is a conference for regulators that we host annually. We did not host that this year, obviously, or last year because of COVID, but information here will be updated with future symposiums. Today, really what I wanted to do was just kind of walk you through our medical and retail marijuana licenses and permits page and our marijuana social equity webpage. We have gone through quite a redesign of our website to try to build out new step-by-step processes and make this feel a lot clearer and a lot easier to read. We've also tried to make it more consistent from page to page, so the resources that you find on one page, you would also be able to find on another. I'm going to start with our marijuana social equity page. So here from marijuana information, again, this is denvergov.org/marijuana info. I'm going to click on our marijuana social equity webpage. And this is going to take me to a new landing page that provides just a really high level overview of Council Bills 210216 and 210217, which created the new marijuana code and went into effect in April of 2021. This gives you a really high level overview of what our equity program does, and then also provides some additional information about the city's equity program. This is going to be a really tremendous resource that's going to continue to be built out over time. And so I would encourage you, if you are a social equity applicant or interested in the social equity program, I would encourage you to visit this webpage to start to do some additional research and start to poke around and find information that might be relevant to you or helpful to you as you're going to start the application process. So here on this page, we have our frequently asked questions. We have information on how to qualify as a social equity applicant. We have resources and support for social equity applicants, and we have information on the city's Turnover a New Leaf program, which is ongoing. I'm going to click around a little bit just to show you what you're going to find on some of these pages. I think it could be very helpful. We receive a number of questions to our marijuana info at denvergov.org email address, and some of that information can be readily found on our website. On frequently asked questions, what you'll see is we'll be building this out more as we get questions and as we decide that they might kind of live here very well and answer folks' questions as they're navigating this process. Essentially, these are some of the questions that we think are most helpful to get started when you're looking at the equity program, and that is better understanding what the eligibility criteria are. What are the eligibility criteria for a social equity applicant? All of this is going to be in an accordion format, so you'll be able to expand and then to collapse. How do I qualify as a social equity applicant? Again, we have information here. What is the state accelerator program? Can social equity applicants sell their licenses? So we'll, like I said, continue to build this out. The more questions we get, we will be able to make this a more robust resource. At this time, this is going to provide you really with kind of a fundamental understanding of the eligibility criteria, how to qualify, and what opportunities might be available. I do want to spend a little bit of time looking over here on the right-hand side of the page. We have on each of our pages, what you'll notice is a sidebar that's going to provide helpful links and resources that will sort of help you better navigate our web page and handle some things that you may need to do related to your marijuana license or permit or sign up for our industry bulletin. So here at the top, you'll see we have a link to our medical and retail marijuana licenses and permits webpage. We also have a link to make an appointment to submit an application in person. We are accepting in-person applications, so you can make an appointment to do that. You can also click on this link to learn how to submit an application via email. You can pay an application or license fee online. Historically, this has not been something that marijuana businesses have been able to do. At the start of the pandemic last year, we were able to make this feature available for marijuana licensees. So if you didn't know, you can pay those application or license fees online. There's also a link to apply for an alarm permit and to check your inspection status, which is something that's also relatively new when you have an inspection for a new business license or an inspection for modification of premise or transfer of location. There is a portal where you can check the status of your inspections, and that is something that you can do through our customer-facing portal. Down below, we have Know the Law with links to our marijuana laws, rules, and regulations website, which is undergoing a bit of an overhaul. So this is going to be updated here shortly. We also have a link to the Colorado Marijuana Enforcement Division's webpage and to our FAQ for residents and visitors. Down below, you'll see again, we have sign up for the Marijuana Industry Bulletin. If you have not yet signed up for our Marijuana Industry Bulletin, I would encourage you all to do that. So 2 things to kind of take away from this is bookmark denvergov.org/marijuana info and sign up for that Marijuana Industry Information Bulletin. This is where we send all of our critical communications about new applications or safety concerns. So it would be really beneficial if you get signed up for that today. You can also see a map of marijuana store locations or find registered neighborhood organizations. This will take you right back to that marijuana information webpage. That's denvergov.org/marijuana info. We have a news site, and then we have our link to the Colorado Open Records Act information and contact information for the department. Marijuanainfo@denvergov.org is where we're asking you to send questions. So back here, I'm just going to pop back and I can use this navigation to go back to our marijuana social equity webpage. A new feature that we've rolled out across our website is a simple step-by-step process. We've tried to make this as simple and streamlined as possible. knowing that this is a highly regulated industry can have really complex rules and regulations. And so this obviously is not going to it's not going to always be a one size fits all, but this does provide a really good overview for how to complete certain processes, and that's going to feel a little clearer when we're over here on the medical and retail marijuana licenses and permits webpage. This is our how to qualify as a social equity applicant webpage, and you'll see we have here 3 steps. A lot of this has to do with the Marijuana Enforcement Division, the State Marijuana Enforcement Division, who will do the finding of suitability and check the eligibility for social equity applicants. So you can view this webpage to learn more on how to qualify as a social equity applicant. And one more page I want to highlight for us here is the resources and support for social equity applicants. This is where we will be posting information for our Denver social equity sessions. So recordings, presentation slides. As the months go on, we're going to be doing some additional informational meetings. So very likely covering delivery, some additional resource sessions. As we've said, or as some of the things we've done in the past is we have had the social equity information sessions on May 4th and 6th. The video recordings are here. We've had some virtual networking sessions. So all of this is really designed to kind of provide some resources and support for equity applicants to help them understand this industry a little better. So staying in the know, again, this is signing up for our Denver Marijuana Information Bulletin and for the Colorado Marijuana Enforcement Division's email list. We have recommended reading, and that includes the Denver Revised Municipal Code, Chapter 6, Article 5. This is our new Denver Marijuana Code. So as I mentioned kind of at the outset of this, when we have gone through this process of drafting new council bills, the result is the brand new Denver Marijuana Code, and you can click on a link to read that. Also, Colorado, so this is the State Marijuana Enforcement Division's regulated marijuana rules, and the Colorado Marijuana Enforcement Division's social equity website. Here, what you'll see is we've just highlighted 2 of the really critical resources on that social equity website. That webpage has a link to a map, and you can use that map to enter an address where you lived for 15 years between 1980 and 2010 to see if it's in a disproportionate impacted area or an opportunity zone. There's also a link to a median income table on that social equity website to help you understand whether you might qualify under the income criteria. We would ask that any questions you have about the Marijuana Enforcement Division social equity website or the regulated marijuana rules that you would direct to the Marijuana Enforcement Division. And then you can also kind of poke around and see some of the information we have on business development resources, including links to the Office of Economic Development and Opportunity and the Colorado Office of Economic Development and International Trade. We have some compliance tools here. So all of this is really designed just to provide that additional support to our social equity applicants. So back here, I'm not going to go back to social equity. I'm going to go to our marijuana information webpage. And I am going to jump over to our medical and retail marijuana licenses and permits. I would say that this makes up a significant number of the questions that we receive in marijuanainfo@denvergov.org in that email inbox. Folks are really curious, really interested in learning how they can apply for new medical and retail marijuana licenses and permits. So this web page is a landing page, meaning that you can use these tiles to jump off and take any number of actions. What we really tried to do in designing our new website was consider the kinds of action-oriented things that our applicants are going to be doing, and then tried to put that information onto various pages so that the information felt more contained and streamlined and a bit easier to digest. So again, at the top, what you'll see is sort of an overview of those Council Bills 210216 and 210217. Those were the council bills signed back in April that have made some significant changes to the city's marijuana laws. That includes combining our medical and retail marijuana code removing the cap on store and cultivation locations, and creating licenses and permits that allow for social consumption and delivery of marijuana. That also includes information related to our social equity program, which allows only social equity applicants to conduct marijuana deliveries for 3 years, provides social equity applicants exclusive access to most marijuana licenses for 6 years, and waives some application and license fees for social equity applicants. So, this is where you will find most of the information you need to start the process of applying for new marijuana business licenses or permits or amending an existing license. Here we have our frequently asked questions. So this is separate. This is different from the frequently asked questions we have about social equity. What you'll see is we've broken this down into a couple of different topic areas. We have our general questions, and that's what medical or retail marijuana licenses or permits does the city issue? Who can apply for those licenses and permits? When can I apply? Where do I find laws, rules, and regulations? Where can I open a marijuana business? We also have social equity, delivery, and hospitality. So there are some different kinds of buckets of questions that you'll find here that may answer some of your most common questions. I do want to highlight a resource here under where can I open a marijuana business. The Denver Marijuana Facility Location Guide is really a tremendous resource. We've shared this out through our industry bulletin. And this is designed to give you an overview of zoning and location requirements for marijuana businesses in the city and county of Denver. It also has some helpful tools to help with location research. And what you'll find, and you'll find that there on that FAQ page about marijuana licenses here under where can I open a marijuana business. So back on that medical and retail marijuana licenses and permits webpage, I'm going to highlight some of these, and then we'll take a look at one of these specific pages and highlight a new page that we've created to help this provide just additional information for our applicants. We have applying for a new marijuana business license or permit. So this is how to apply for new marijuana business licenses, including transporter licenses or an off-premise storage facility permit. There is a different page, a separate page for applying for a marijuana delivery permit. So this is for marijuana stores and transporters, and we'll provide that information on how to go about applying for that marijuana delivery permit. There is a page to renew your marijuana business license, a page where you can learn how to apply for a modification of premise of a marijuana business, apply for a change of location of a marijuana business, apply for a change of ownership of a marijuana business, appeal, extend an application period for, surrender, or withdraw an application for a marijuana business. And then we have a new page with fees for marijuana license, permit, and amendment applications. We also have a link back to that marijuana information page. So you're always able to kind of go back to that jumping off page, which will take you to the social equity information, information about our data and statistics. But really this page, medical and retail marijuana licenses and permits, is designed to help you walk through the processes for applying. So let's take a look at a couple of these pages. Like I had said earlier, we have tried to really streamline the information and put it into a step-by-step process. So what you'll see here is the 1, 2, 3. This is going to walk you through what a new application process would look like. Again, this is probably about 90% of the cases. There are always going to be some applications that have a bit of a different path depending on any number of circumstances. But largely, this is the process that you would follow to apply for a new marijuana business license or permit. And here at the top, we've reiterated those questions. What medical or retail marijuana business licenses or permits does the city issue, and who can apply for them? Again, just highlighting here on the side of that page, the right side of that page, we have those helpful links to make your appointment to submit your application, to learn how to submit an application via email, pay your application or license fees, apply for an alarm permit, or check your inspection status, as well as all of those other links that are really helpful for applicants as they're navigating this process. So back here, because this is new, I'll also highlight our marijuana delivery permit webpage. What you'll find on quite a few of our web pages is some really helpful information at the top that tells you or provides links to additional information, such as Chapter 6, Article 5 of the Denver Revised Municipal Code. That is the new marijuana code that I've mentioned a couple of times, and also may provide just some helpful background information on who can apply for delivery permits and what that looks like. So on most pages, what you'll find is just a short overview of the information that's really relevant to getting down here to the step-by-step submitting your application. Again, with those consistent resources over here on the side. In these step-by-step processes, you're always going to find a link to the application that you're interested in. So we will link to that information here. Generally under the step that says complete an application, you'll find a link to open that application. And at the bottom of each of these web pages, what you'll also find are accordions that tell you more about the required forms. What required forms do you have to submit with your application? What are the required fees? And what are the inspection processes? So these accordions you'll find on most of these application web pages where they're relevant. So for example, on change of location, you'll see again at the top, we have some helpful background information that asks folks, particularly with changes of location, to review that zoning and location requirements in the marijuana facility location guide, as well as some specific areas of the Denver Revised Municipal Code. And then down below, that link to the change of location application. And as we scroll down, we'll also find those required forms, those required fees, and information about the inspection process for changes of location. So this information here is really designed to replace the paper step-by-step guides that we used to provide to applicants when they would submit an application. We'd love to get away from using as much paper and having our applicants really use our website to find the information, and that's why it's laid out here in such a streamlined format. Another page that I want to highlight for you is our appeals, extensions, surrenders, and withdrawals. Certainly, this is a page where some of these resources are used more often than others, but this will talk about requesting an appeal hearing, requesting an extension of an application period if you're coming up at the end of 12 months for a modification of premise and you need a few more months to complete your inspections because some of the contract work has run long. You can request an extension of that application period. These step-by-steps in these accordions, unfortunately, the template we use on other pages can't be used in these accordions. And because these are simple, generally 2 or 3 step processes, we didn't want to create separate pages for each of them. So instead, we have them all here in the accordion. And this is where you'll find information on how you can surrender a license, withdraw an application, request an extension of the application period, or request an appeal hearing if an application is denied. And finally, I wanted to highlight for you a page that we've created. This is, again, one of the most common questions we get is about fees for marijuana licenses, permits, and amendment applications. So information about our city application and license fees for marijuana license, permit, and amendment applications can be found on this webpage. It can be found in each of these accordions. It can also be found in section 3292 and in chapter 32, article 1 of the Denver Revised Municipal Code. We do ask that if you have questions about the state application or state license fees, that you visit the state's Information for Marijuana Licensees webpage or contact the Marijuana Enforcement Division directly. It is not often that we will speak to state fees because they are separate from city fees. So if the information that you find on this webpage is specific only to city fees for applications and licenses. So when I click here, what you'll see in most of these cases is a subheadline for social equity licensees and non-social equity licensees. And we will see that this is all medical license types. As I kind of click through, we see all retail license types. This does not include retail hospitality and sales or off-premise storage facility permits. So here you'll see we have that information for social equity licensees, non-social equity licensees. I'll also just note that you're not going to find a separate section for renewal fees because that information is here under some of these different license or permit types. So for example, the annual renewal fee for a social equity licensee for a retail license type would be $2,500. On initial application, that gets waived, but on the first annual renewal, that would be paid to the department with that application. And so similarly, you'll see the annual renewal fee information here for non-social equity licensees. And the same would apply when I'm clicking into something like delivery. It's going to tell me the license fee and the annual renewal fee. And then on through our different kinds of applications. And very simple for changes of ownership. There is one fee for all license types, modification of premise, one fee for all license types. For changes of location, there is a difference in the fee for medical and retail stores, and that's because there is a hearing requirement, and that requires a significant more amount of work and preparation. So you will want to take a look just through these fees. That's where you'll find all information related to city fees. And again, what we would say is if you have questions about state fees, to please contact the state about that. So I'm going to pop back here to medical and retail marijuana licenses and permits. Again, this is where you're going to find most of the information you need to start navigating those processes. Back on marijuana information, that's where you're going to find those links to marijuana social equity, our laws, rules, and regulations, and so on. I do just want to encourage you all, if you have questions after this session, we scheduled a half hour, and really this was just designed in more of a webinar format so that we could provide the information to you so that you can start to navigate this new website. This has been really a tremendous lift. Abby was instrumental in getting our new website launched. A colleague of ours, Audra Miller, was absolutely instrumental in the new design of our website. One of our licensing technicians, Lindsay McCutcheon, she did an excellent job in helping us really design the step-by-step processes and think through this. But this was a large project, about 24 to 28 web pages that required a complete redesign, a complete rewriting of content, new applications, new processes. So inevitably, there may be one or two things that we've missed. There may be resources that you'd like to see here. There may be feedback you have for us on our website. And I would really encourage you, as you are poking around and starting to learn more about it, to send any questions you have, any feedback you have to marijuanainfo@denvergov.org. That is where you will find all of that information, or where you can ask questions and we'll be able to provide more information to you. So with that, we are going to be wrapping this up here in just a minute, but wanted to remind you all to please bookmark denvergov.org/marijuana-info to go ahead and start clicking around. And then once you're in our webpage, to start signing up for the Marijuana Industry Information Bulletin. And if you have any questions about our session today, our website, any feedback for us, please send that over to marijuanainfo@denvergov.org. I am going to stop sharing my screen now. And we are going to wrap up this session. I appreciate you all being here today. Thank you so much for joining. And we look forward to seeing questions and feedback in marijuanainfo@denvergov.org.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.